Hey, this is Officer Bell reminding you that if you would like to report suspicious activity or if you have a tip about crime, you can report them anonymously with Crime Stoppers. Call Crime Stoppers at 270-687-8484 or submit a tip on the Owensboro Crime Stoppers Facebook page. There are cash rewards of up to $1,000 for any tip that leads to an arrest. Remember, crime doesn't pay, but Crime Stoppers does.
Okay, we're going to read this whole thing. I am, and at the end you can say, I do, and then we're married, okay? All right, this is the official oath. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully execute to the best of my ability the office of police officer according to law. And I do solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, meaning you, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as a second in care. Oops, supposed to have your hand up. Y'all didn't do your job again. A second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending. So help me God. I do. I do too. Congratulations. There we go. You're in, man. Good. Okay.
So the National Academy, run by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is probably one of the most elite training programs for law enforcement officers across the country. The Owensboro Police Department's known about it. We've sent people in the past. We try to send somebody usually once every 4 or 5 years. You have to be nominated by your department head, so Chief Elam nominated me to be the next person to attend when a spot came open. So I applied in 2014 and basically waited until I finally got an email from them. It is a 10-week program, so just to give you a little overview, it's a 10-week intensive training program located at the FBI training facility in Quantico, Virginia. So I left January 6th and graduated March 16th. So it was a long time to be away from home, but it was definitely well worth it. It was an experience of a lifetime. So there's a base level of curriculum that everybody takes, and then you get to choose extra courses based on what you're interested in or what you think would best suit you and the department. So some of the base courses were leadership for law enforcement executives. Everybody took that. The physical training aspect of it was mandatory that everybody took. There was a symposium where usually once a week or sometimes twice a week the Academy would bring in guest speakers from all across the country that would provide presentations on best practices in law enforcement or debriefs of major critical incidents that have occurred in the past couple of years. Outside of that, you got to choose 3 other classes. So the classes that I chose were media and social media and their involvement in law enforcement, constitutional law for police executives, which was a very interesting class, and then managing organizational change were the 3 classes that I took that I felt had the most interest in and could possibly benefit us here at the police department. We had the special agent in charge of the Las Vegas field office came in and did about a 2-hour presentation on the shooting incidents that took place at the hotel and casino in Las Vegas. That was very interesting. Got a lot of best practices. Hopefully something like that never comes to Owensboro, but if it does, you know, we're always trying to learn as much as we can to be prepared to handle incidents like that. We had a police chief come and speak to us on post-traumatic stress disorder and officer safety, or not officer safety, but officer wellness. And the reason he came and talked was his previous chief that he had worked for had committed suicide, and nobody saw it coming whatsoever, but there'd been a long buildup of issues, and basically the department was just caught off guard. So they didn't see it coming when it occurred. It was, obviously a traumatic experience for the family, the department. They were both really good friends. So he started looking back and developing and hindsight 2020, started seeing clues and patterns, and basically developed curriculum on how to be aware of post-traumatic stress disorder incidents that may be occurring within your agency, affecting some of your people, and best practices for how to get them the treatment that they need to keep something like that from happening. So that was very interesting as well. It was basically just like a college experience. We had 4 to 5 classes a day. Each of those classes lasted for an hour and 50 minutes, and just about every day, each one of those classes gave you homework. So each class I had, there were 3 to 4 papers due in each class, plus all the kinds of extra reading assignments and group presentations. I mean, at one time, I think I was working on 5 different PowerPoint presentations for various assignments that I had. So there was definitely a lot of work to it, but it was challenging and it was meaningful work that I got a lot out of, for sure. There is a strong physical fitness component to the National Academy, and their approach to that is that in order to go to the class, you have to be at least a mid-level executive in a police department or a law enforcement agency. So their approach to why that requirement is there is that by the time you've done this job for 10, 15 years, you're not that rookie just out of the basic academy where you've been working out 3 to 4 times a day. You've got all these responsibilities at work, usually all these family responsibilities, and a lot of times physical fitness is something that gets pushed to the back burner. So they wanted to have a strong component of physical fitness to bring that back into the life of a mid-level executive. And that's exactly what, in my circumstance, between all of my work responsibilities, family responsibilities, physical fitness, just not enough hours left in the day sometimes to devote as much as you wanted to. But the National Academy made you get ready, and obviously put you through a lot of work while you were there. So we would have 2 to 3 physical fitness classes a week, and then every week there was a weekly challenge, and the whole challenge was based on the Wizard of Oz. Each week there was a separate challenge that was very intensive, regardless if it was running or some kind of combine with all different kinds of events. Each week it got harder, and it led up to what they call the Yellow Brick Road, which is the culmination of all these physical fitness challenges, where it's basically a 6-mile run with an obstacle course at the Marine Barracks there in Quantico. So it's definitely a lot of work. All the challenges each week help you get ready for that, along with the physical fitness classes. But the best thing that comes out of that is once you successfully complete that physical fitness challenge, that Yellow Brick Road, at the end of the course, it's done during the last week of the course, they give you a yellow brick. And that's kind of synonymous with the National Academy experience. So you can talk to any National Academy graduate from all across the country, all across the world, and you can talk about the yellow brick. And mine's sitting up in my office now, just as I'm sure yellow bricks are spread out all through the country and the world from previous graduates of the National Academy. So all of the training that I received, along with the ability to network with 223 other professionals from across the country and the world, basically have given me an idea of best practices in law enforcement operations. We're talking about recruitment earlier today in a meeting, and I've got an email chain. I've been back since March 16th, and I've got an email chain of about 15 different recruitment strategies for recruiting police officers that we as classmates have been discussing about what's worked best in their agencies, some of the things that don't necessarily work as well, and I've been copying down every one of those. And that's something that I wouldn't have had access to before, or I might have to call around or spend an entire day trying to research, and that's something that I have now at my fingertips. So knowing best practices, what works, what doesn't work, and staying on the forefront of technology and the forefront of how law enforcement is shifting is absolutely what I've got out of the course, and be able to offer my input here at the police department. Some agencies have various takes on how to best schedule police officers to keep a better home, work, life balance. So that's something that we definitely want to take a look at. One thing that I was very proud of was a lot of the best practices that they were throwing out as good ideas and innovative ideas or things that we already have in place here. So that speaks volumes for the current administration and the past administrations of the department, that they've been able to take these best practices and already implement them, and now the FBI is talking about it as this is the latest and greatest and the stuff that we already do. So that's something that I'm very proud of. This was absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. As a mid-level manager here at the police department, the ability to go away for 10 weeks and immerse myself with 220 plus other mid-level managers. I mean, some of them were higher, some of them were in command staffs and chiefs, but to immerse myself with a network of 220 other people just like me was an incredible experience. The networking that we did, the friendships that we made last a lifetime. I've got really good friends now in states I've never been to before that I'm going to have to put on my bucket list to make sure that I go. One of my best friends that I made and I stay in contact with weekly is from Bulgaria, of all places. Yeah, he's an inspector with the Bulgarian border police out of the Ministry of Interior. So, I mean, he's a lifetime friend now. And, you know, something like that, a guy from Owensboro, Kentucky, those are hard connections to make and to be able to have. So, you know, I'm not a world traveler. I don't get to experience those things that often. So that was definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. We took a class trip to New York City, which was unbelievable. I've been before, but it was once, and it was way back in college, and I was only there for a couple days. But the NYPD hosted the trip. They took care. I mean, it's for a nominal fee, but we stayed in Times Square. Got to tour the NYPD headquarters, tour the emergency services, helicopter units, the aviation units, the water patrol units that they have. They took us out on their brand new fireboat and one of the police boats, and we toured the Statue of Liberty. They got to, I mean, just amazing things that you know I'd never get to do on a normal trip to New York. They got us into the Freedom Tower, which replaced the World Trade Center. One of the floors had yet to been rented out, so we were able to go up to I think it was the 85th floor and just walk around, and you know, just amazing experience, stuff that you'd never, that me as a normal person would never get to do. So on the weekends we made plenty of outings to Washington, D.C. I had the ability to go to the nation's capital 4 and 5 times on a week while I was there, and that was just an amazing experience to be able to take in all the sites and visit all the monuments and the museums. So I definitely took advantage of that as well. The time being gone from family and from work and coming back, I definitely feel reinvigorated. I was able to pause, reflect, and get out of the daily grind of getting A, B, and C done and moving on to the next thing, and really stop and take a deep reflection of myself. As a man, as a father, as a lieutenant at the police department, as a husband, and do a lot of self-reflection and come back really positive and pumped and motivated to help out as much as I can. There's Deputy Chief Speed is also a graduate of the National Academy, and we've had 2 other lieutenants in the past 10 years or so that have been, but they both retired, so it's just myself and the Deputy Chief right now. So the National Academy says that only 1% of law enforcement is ever able to make it to that kind of a training experience. So I definitely feel blessed that I was part of that small percentage that gets to attend such a great training course.